Today I have come back again, right? And I am still continuing with the chapter Dusk, which I had started in the last class. And I think so I'd send you the PDF also. So those who still don't have textbooks, you can go through the PDF. Alright, so I will continue from page 57. And before I continue, let me just give you the summary of the story. So this chapter, Dusk, was written by Saki or Hector Hugh Munro, right? So, and he had written many short stories in the newspapers, also used to write. So in this story, we find there's a man sitting in a park, right? Norman Godsway. So he finds there's a man beside him who was sitting beside him, who was very, very roughly dressed, and he was shabbily dressed. He looked as if he was a failure in his life, right? And after some time, the old man, he gets up and he goes away from there. So as soon as he leaves, there comes another young man who looks very worried and he looks very tense, all right? So he seems that he is not in a very good temper. So you don't seem in a very good temper, said Godsby, judging that he was expected to take due notice of the demonstration. So Norman Godsby, he noticed that this young man was not in a very good temper. So he asked the young man the reason for that. The young man turned to him with a look of disarming frankness, which put him instantly on his guard. So the young man was alarmed, or he was surprised, all right, when he asked this sort of question. You wouldn't be in a good temper if you were in the fix I am in, he said. So he said that nobody would be in angry mood if he was not in such kind of problem. I've done the silliest thing I've ever done in my life. So this young man, he says that he has done a silly mistake which nobody does in life. Yes, said Godsby dispassionately, so though he was not very interested in listening to him, but still he does. So children, I'm reading again from page 57, alright, I think so I had left till there. So came up this afternoon, meaning to stay at the Patagonian Hotel in Berkshire Square, continued the young man. So the young man, he continued with a story saying that he had come there to stay in a hotel in Berkshire Square. Alright, when I got there, I found it had been pulled down some weeks ago and a cinema theater ran up on the side. So when he reached that hotel, alright, or that street, he came to know that the hotel where he was supposed to stay was no more there. It had been pulled down, it was demolished. And now there was a theater, there was a movie hall constructed there. So that was the first reason why this man was not in a very good temper. The taxi driver recommended me to another hotel some way off and I went there. So the taxi driver dropped this young man to another hotel, right, where he could stay. I just sent a letter to my people giving them the address and then I went out to buy some soap. I had forgotten to pack. So after he checked in the hotel, he realized that he did not pack his soap. So he went out of the hotel, he sent the address, he sent a message to his relatives or back to his family saying that he had reached the place. Right, so he realized that he did not have a bar of soap. I had forgotten to pack and I hate using hotel soap. So he realized that he had not packed his soap and he did not like using the soap of the hotel. Then I strolled about a bit, had a drink at a bar and looked at the shops, and when I came to turn my steps back to the hotel, I suddenly realized that I didn't remember its name or even what street was in. So after he came out of the hotel, he went to some shops, alright. He bought that bar of soap, then he went to a bar to have some drink And after that, when he wanted to go back to his hotel, he realized that he did not even know the name of the street of the hotel. He did not even remember the name of the hotel. So because of all these reasons, this young man was very, very annoyed, or he was very, very angry. That's a nice predicament for a fellow who hasn't any friends or connections in London. So he was in great trouble because he did not have any friends, right? He did not know anyone in London. So that was another reason. Of course, I can wire to my people for the address, but they won't have got my letter till tomorrow meantime. So he knew that he could send a message to his relatives back home, but he knew that it would not reach them very, very fast. Of course, I can wire to my people for the address, but they won't have got my letter till tomorrow. Meantime, I am without any money, came out with about a shilling on me, which went in buying the soap and getting the drink. And here I am wandering about with 2 pence in my pocket and nowhere to go for the night. So, now he was without any place to go to stay at night. He did not have enough money. Whatever money he spent it in buying a bar of soap, and he went to a bar, he had his drink. So because of all that, his money was also over. So he did not have any place to go for the night. There was an eloquent pause after the story had been told. So he paused for some time. I suppose you think I've spun you rather an impossible yarn. So he started talking to this Norman Gotsby, who was still listening to his story. So he told this man, saying that I think so I put you in trouble by telling you my story. Said the young man presently with a suggestion of resentment in his voice. So when he was talking, it sounded as if he was really, really regretting by telling his story to Norman Gotsby. I hope you're understanding. Not at all impossible, said Gotsby judicially. I remember doing exactly the same thing once in a foreign capital, and on that occasion there were 2 of us, which made it more remarkable. So this Norman Gotsby, he said that he did not feel disturbed or something bad, all right? And he also remembers that once even he had fallen in the same problem, but he was on the safer side because he had a friend with him, with whom he could share, with whom he could talk to, all right? But this young man was in a big trouble because he did not even have money, he did not even have his friend, he did not even have a place to sleep. Luckily, we remembered that the hotel was on a sort of canal. So Norman Gotsby also had the same problem, but he remembered saying that they were very lucky enough because they remembered the canal which was near to the hotel. And we struck the canal where we were able to find our way back to the hotel. So looking at that canal, they were back to the hotel. That's why wherever you go out of your city, out of your town, you should always remember your landmarks, isn't it? So that in case you forget or in case you get lost, you remember the landmark of that place and it will be easy to get you there. But this young man, he did not even remember anything of that new place. The youth brightened at the reminiscence. So the youth felt a little bit happy and he smiled. In a foreign city, I wouldn't mind so much, he said. One could go to one's counsel and get the requisite help from him. So this young man said that he wouldn't mind much getting lost in a foreign country because you can always go to the council, isn't it? To the consulate and find about the place. Here in one's own land, one is far more derelict if one gets into a fix. So, but in his own land, if you are lost, that means you are in great problem. So, same thing was happening to this young man, right? So, he was in the place where he had lost everything. He forgot everything. and now he doesn't have anywhere to go. Unless I can find some decent chap to swallow my story and lend me some money. So now he was looking for somebody who would listen to his story and help him with some money. I seem likely to spend the night on the embankment. Embankment means a wall of stone or earth made to keep water bank. So he said that he would not mind sleeping near an embankment, or he could spend time there. I'm glad anyhow that you don't think the story outrageously improbable. Improbable means not likely to be true, to the point of being shocking. So he was trying to tell Norman Gotsby, saying that his story is not fake, alright, whatever he's saying, it's true. He threw a good deal of warmth into the last remark, as though perhaps to indicate his hope that Gotsby did not fall far short of the requisite decency. So now he wanted to tell his story. He told the story, he told whatever he had to tell this man, Norman Gotsby, and he was hoping that this man would help him. Of course, said Gotsby slowly, the weak point of your story is that you can't produce the soap. So now Gotsby wanted to see the proof, isn't it? Because he had said that he had gone out to buy a bar of soap. So he said that he would be happy if he shows him the proof, which is the soap there. The young man sat forwardly, hurriedly, felt rapidly in his pockets, his overcoat, and then jumped to his feet. So as soon as this Norman Gotsby talked about the soap, this young man, he did not realize that the soap was also not there. So he started looking for it frantically. He searched in his pockets, he searched everywhere. And what happened? He realized that the soap was also not there. I must have lost it, he muttered angrily. So he was pretending, or he was acting in front of him that he's very, very angry because he had lost even the soap. So children, I have explained till page 53 for today. Since you all have a unit test, you need to study also. So you can go through it once, right, the chapter, and I will continue in the next class. Thank you.